The August 19th, 2025 Auburn, Maine Planning Board meeting. I'll start with agenda item number 1. Roll call from my left.
Ed Barra.
Bob Hayes.
Riley Bergeron.
Paul Jacques.
Bilal Hussein.
Darren Finnegan.
Tim DeRoche.
So in the absence of Maureen and Stacy, I will elevate both Bilal and Ed for voting members this evening. So agenda item number 2, we have 2 meeting minutes to vote on. The June 18th one, we have a little bit of a hardship here with only 3 of us that were at the meeting. So I think we're allowed to accept them. Like 3 of us were at the first part of the meeting, and then 3 of us were at the second part of the meeting.
Who are the 3 who you're looking at? You, me,
And Bob
Bob.
were at the first part. Well, Bob, Riley, and me were at the first part, and then you were at the second part.
I'm going to go out on a limb and approve those minutes, make a motion to approve those minutes. If somebody wants to challenge us in months down the road, they can do that.
Okay. I do have a potential amendment. The vote on it said 202. And I don't know that that would mean 2 people abstained, right?
Correct.
And the video only showed Stacy and me.
I believe I actually made the motion to approve.
The motion was to accept Bob's request. Riley made the motion, seconded by Bob. And then,
This was on the abstention, not on the
Oh, I'm
second
sorry.
part, the abstention.
that's what
Sorry.
I'm looking at.
So Ed wasn't there yet.
Correct. It was Riley and Bob.
So on the video, Stacy voted for it. I voted against it. We couldn't see you guys. I think it was 3-1. But
Yeah, I voted for it.
Well, I'm confused now. Are we talking about the
abstention part.
the abstention
before,
part?
Before you got there, yeah. Bob, do you remember if you voted for it or?
For the motion.
I did vote for it. I almost thought that it was recorded correctly because I don't think it was, it didn't pass.
It says 202 on the voting numbers, and we were particular about getting that accurate in the past.
We can,
If we just amend it to 3-1, is that?
is that what we think it is? I mean, we can certainly go back and watch the video.
It only showed Stacy and me on the actual vote because it had like a split screen.
I can say I did vote for the abstention, so it should be, if it shows you both doing it, there should be 3 votes for it. Right?
If Bob voted for it, because I voted against it.
I don't think that Bob could vote on his own motion, on his own abstention. I think later on in the minutes, we took it up a second time. Motion to accept Bob Hayes' request to abstain. Riley Bergeron by Riley, second by Stacy, vote 4-0-1.
If there's confusion here, let's hold off on adopting them. We can review the minutes, the video, and just make sure that it's accurate.
Sure.
I'd rather do that versus guessing tonight and
Okay.
getting it wrong.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be straightforward, but it's clearly not. So I can review it a little bit more too. I only looked at that part of the video.
Should we make a motion to approve the July 8th ones?
Yeah.
I move to approve the minutes from the July 8th planning board meeting.
Seconded.
Do have a question for you folks. You'll note on the third page of it, we did not capture who made the motion with respect to Kitty Hawk. That was the night that Chick-fil-A was here, and when Chick-fil-A unplugged their PowerPoint, YouTube froze. So we don't have who made the motions that night. And Tammy and I were trying to look at our notes, and I had Maureen, but I can't tell you what Maureen was to vote. So I was curious if anybody remembers that evening who made the motions.
And actually, I think I actually have to rescind my motion as I wasn't in attendance for that.
And not to jump around, I'm going to check on that, Riley, understanding that. I feel as though MMA has told me in the past that board members can vote to approve minutes even if they weren't in attendance, because you're not necessarily, you're approving the acceptance of them, so to speak. But I want to check that, so next time we have this discussion, it's absolutely clear.
Well, Riley and I weren't there, and we couldn't watch it because it ended
That's right.
right at the Chick-fil-A part, the video.
I think I may have made the motion for the Kitty Hawk approval. But I'm going by memory only. I can't give you any more than that, but that also explains the blanks on motion to adjourn in the second as well, because the audio was out.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not concerned so much about the, motions to close and everything. We got the one of substance there who, the vote motion, we have that with Maureen and Bob. It was just the open and closing public comment. It's not the end of the world, but I don't know if people remembered it or not.
I honestly don't remember. I was here, but I don't remember.
Okay.
Well, it wouldn't be a problem to, opening and closing public comment motions and seconds aren't deal breakers to approve minutes, correct?
Is that the public comment at the end?
After the presentation, when you open it up for public comment
so
and close
it
it
is-
for public
okay.
comment.
So that
Right,
one
and to
was
add, there was
voted.
no public comment anyway.
That's right, exactly. Again, I'm not terribly concerned about it, given the way the meeting ran and that there wasn't any comment there. So I'm comfortable with you folks approving or making a motion to approve the minutes. And we can add a note to this that due to recording, we weren't able to capture the motions.
Okay. So we did actually have a motion on the first set of minutes that we didn't vote on, so.
I'm going to withdraw my motion for the first set of minutes, the July 8 minutes. Is that what you're referring to, Mr.
The
Chair?
June 18th.
June
one.
18th meeting, yes. I'll withdraw that.
Thank you. Now, are we ready to vote on the July 8th one? Well, we have a motion already, right?
I made it.
Would anybody else like to make a motion?
I make a motion to approve the July 8th meeting minutes, including the omission of specifics regarding the public comment motions and seconds.
Second.
All those in favor? Is that 5? Okay. And opposed? Okay, and I'm abstaining, and I assume Riley is too. Yep.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, item 3 is a public hearing for a site plan review and special exception for a UPS temporary overflow parking lot at 45 Flightline Drive. So I'll hand it over to staff first, and then we'll have the applicant.
So this proposal includes the construction of a 36,293 square foot temporary gravel parking lot on property owned by Auburn Lewiston Municipal Airport. The lot is intended to serve as overflow parking for UPS, which operates on an adjacent parcel. The applicant seeks a 2-year temporary use of this parking area. This time frame will allow UPS to investigate, engineer, and design permanent improvements to the facility located across the street. Right now, they're using overflow parking adjacent to this site, which is going to be under construction for the T hangars that you folks approved last year. So they won't have an overflow parking space anymore. They most certainly need it because they park all over the road out there otherwise. And at the same time, they're looking to make site improvements to their actual operations site so they can get off the airport site and have all their operations on the UPS site. The proposed use of the off-street parking is accessory to a permitted use, whether or not located on the same lot is permitted as a special exception. So that's why you folks are seeing that. Otherwise, we might have been able to approve this in-house. So it's a site plan review and it's a special exception criteria that they need to meet. Proposed site will be on an undeveloped fill area. It's been used as a laydown yard in the past for construction associated with the airport out there. Due to the temporary nature of the proposal out there, certain paving, curbing, landscaping requirements typically required at permanent parking facilities pursuant to section 60-60717 are not being completed with this. That includes paved surface, painted delineation. So the planning board may want to consider waiving or relaxing those requirements based upon the limited duration and function of this parking lot out there. Again, the applicants noted that there's no striping, curb stops, or paved travel lanes proposed given the temporary nature of this site. So again, if you folks do relax that, you'll see in the recommended motions that should be reference to that specific section of code that allows the board to relax those standards. Not to confuse matters, related to the use of this site, the airport has requested that once UPS no longer uses this site, and it has been used as a material laydown yard and material storage area in the past, they would like to continue to do that. So staff has advised the airport that use of this area by the airport for construction material laydown, material storage area, and contractor parking area accessory to the airport is allowed pursuant to the code as an accessory use without planning board approval or special exception. So it seems odd, right? The airport can use this site as accessory to their own as a matter of right. But if it's UPS, it's across the street, they need a special exception permit. That's why they're coming to see you. So we recommended as a condition in here that should the airport want to use this, the board include that in their motion. That way it's absolutely clear going forward that they can't permanently use this. If the airport wanted to make this parking, I don't know, of some permanent nature in the future, they would potentially need to come back and see you folks. Otherwise, if they just want to use it a laydown yard while they're constructing the T hangars next door or some other future improvement involving the airport, they could, as they have in the past.
Dave, what you're speaking of, would that be item 5 in your recommended conditions of approval, just for clarification?
Correct. Public Services and Engineering have been working with the applicant regarding some stormwater-related improvements. I emailed you folks an email today, and you have hard copies of it too. An email from Steve Govini, the engineer who's been working on this project. I would suggest at some point you make a motion to accept that email as part of the record. Both him and engineering have been working, and they've basically come to a conclusion with respect to the stormwater out there as far as the design and what needs to be done out there. At the end of the day, it's a rather insignificant increase in impervious, and it's all sheet flowing into a large wooded buffer area out there. So both the applicant and engineering are now on the same page with respect to stormwater. You'll see that there was a condition in there if we hadn't got there that we look to resolve that, but at this point it has been resolved.
And that email you're referring to is the email we received before the meeting from Wentworth Partners and Associates?
Correct. Yep. Again, waivers on some of the parking lot design requirements. This project is subject to a site law permit. We've approved a number of site law permits out there. Again, most recently the hangar projects out there. I didn't realize you folks approved 2 hangar projects, like I think in the same night. Those were delegated review projects. This also will be a delegated review project as well. So we'll be sending that information up to DEP just for their purposes of notification. All other departments have reviewed and don't have any concerns at this point. So again, staff's recommending that approval of this project. We have a number of conditions there for your consideration. I would say when you're looking at them, I don't know that you need to consider, excuse me while I'm looking at this. Number 3, the recommended condition regarding permits and activity until stormwater management shall be resolved to the city's satisfaction. This email and the conversations with engineering, that's since been resolved. So if you folks do move forward with the conditions as recommended, you don't necessarily need to include number 3. Steve Govini is here on behalf of UPS and the applicant.
Good evening, Mr. Chair and members of the board. So my name is Steve Gavoni. I'm with Wentworth Partners and Associates out of Skowhegan, Maine. David just really took my thunder here. There's not really much else I can say, other than probably just answer questions at this point. As he said, we have a parking. So what you see on the board here is this is the existing conditions. Presently, there is an overflow parking lot that is being used by UPS during heavy package movement periods. Christmas is a good example. We have a land that was filled as part of this is all fill that's in here. And then below that land, this low-lie area, this is all vegetated. It's a vegetated buffer basically all the way down to, what's the name of this road?
Kitty Hawk.
Yes, Kitty Hawk, thank you. So, this, if I was given a scale here, which is in this perspective, Kitty Hawk is down this way, and this is all buffered, and then, so basically this all chases itself and eventually becomes a stream that goes under Kitty Hawk as an actual intermittent stream at this point. So this area here, again, it's already fill, it's already flat, and it's been used, collectively, this whole area has been used as a laydown yard. We had, photos going all the way back to 1997 with that. And other photos even after this was put in. We have photos back in 2007 where this area here was used as a laydown yard. There is, as you saw from the hydrology there, this area is vegetated. It's low-lie vegetation, and then there's this perimeter, basically goes around in this respect here, that is what we call dead sand. So there's actually no growth in this area here. When I did the calculations for the existing conditions, I actually considered the whole thing as being vegetated with low vegetation, which would slow water down. So I took a very conservative approach to how I looked at the existing conditions, and then as we moved into the proposed conditions, I went the opposite direction for the stone dust that we're requesting out here. I could use a number, it's called the C value, which is a coefficient for resistance, flow resistance, really. I had the books give me a choice of using anywhere from 0.79 to 0.89, so 0.79 being the low side, 0.89 being the high side. I used 0.89, so I was conservative in the opposite direction. And even with the difference in going from a vegetated site at 0.37 to basically a non-pervious site at 0.89, we were only moving less than 1.1 cubic feet per second across in a 25-year storm event. So the sheet flow really is insignificant. It's an insignificant change for the amount of area that we're actually looking to develop.
I have a couple of questions for staff, but I have one for the applicant. The application materials include only meeting minutes of the airport authority authorizing its director to negotiate a lease with you. That's not sufficient right, title, and interest. Do we have a lease in place now?
Technically, there's a lease in place for the existing parking lot, which is on the same lot. So the answer is technically yes, there's a lease in place, but it's when they're going to be taking this lot for the development of the new T-hangar. I imagine you were on the board when that was approved. Yeah, so the new T-hangar, they're hoping to start this fall, and that T-hangar comes all the way down into this area. So this is all going to be paved. Let's see if I can. I didn't detail it on our sheets, but yeah, this is all the development of the T-hangar area, and then this is the building, the actual hangar itself, and of course all this is non-pervious paved area. So again, that lease they're just transferring, and that's really what the minutes reflect from the airport board.
I don't think that's what the minutes reflect, and I'm not going to stand on this, but I think it would be poor form if we made it a habit to accept minutes that simply say that the board authorizes the airport director to negotiate and execute a lease agreement with UPS for interim parking on airport property. I mean, this contemplates that there will be a different lease, if there is one in existence now, that there will be a different one.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that there is one in place right now with UPS for anything on that side of the road. So I guess my simple question is there a lease pursuant to these March 12 minutes? Or if not, when will there be?
So the lease will go in place once we're permitted. That's my understanding.
Anyone else?
I guess I do have one follow-up, if I could then, not about the lease. When do you envision, it's been discussed that there would be a 2-year limit on this permit. Is that 2 years from tonight, 2 years from when you first start using it, 2 years from when you pull the permit to do the groundwork? What are you contemplating?
Yeah, that'd be 2 years from 2 years from it going into service. So whenever the code enforcement comes out and says this is done and you may now use it for its intended purpose, it would be 2 years from that date.
And either for you or staff, what happens if after 2 years UPS wants to continue to use this for whatever reasons?
So then technically they would need to come back to you folks, make a case that it's going to be used for something longer than temporary use. And potentially at that point, the board would have to consider whether or not there should be any relaxation of those standards. Because the relaxation of those standards is in part because it's temporary. They're not looking to put a ton of money into this, right? It's going to be 2 years. If this turns out to be something that they really like, they want to use it more permanently, then yeah, they should probably improve the surface with something more permanent like pavement out there. Don't think it's necessarily going to change the stormwater out there, but that would be something that we'd have to look at that point. And then maybe it's a point of putting curb stops in or better striping or something to that effect. If it continued to be used and it was after those 2 years, then technically it becomes an enforcement issue at that point.
Yeah.
If they didn't come back to you folks and it was still brought to our attention that UPS was using it.
Yeah, their intended goal is really on their own properties across the street, but that's a lot more complex than this, and their anticipation, actually through consultation, myself and another engineering firm, is that that's going to take about 2 years for analysis, design, permitting, because the permitting at that stage is back to site law, so there will be DEP permit, and so it's everything on their side is a lot more intense than this in terms of design, and that's stuff that would have to come in front of the planning board as well.
No more questions? Yeah, that's fine, yeah.
David, you mentioned the delegated authority that the planning department has for site law applications, and it's discussed on the bottom of page 4 of your memo. I just don't understand the last sentence that begins, staff. It says, staff have confirmed that an amended site law permit is necessary and that the city can continue to review this project under its delegated review authority, recognizing the airport exceeds delegated threshold.
So communities have delegated authority up to 10 acres of structure or impervious area. The airport has like 62 acres of impervious area out there. So I reached out to them knowing that it appeared that we had done this in the past with the hangar projects and whatnot. DEP, are you good with us doing this? Given that, it's only 36,000 square feet in the whole scheme of 62 acres out there. And they confirmed, yeah, it's not a problem. You folks have reviewed projects already out there, so you can continue to use that, recognizing it exceeds 10 acres of impervious or structure out there.
So are they working to change that? Because that's,
I don't think so. I think they do it, I think two things. I think they value communities that have capacity at various levels to review projects on their behalf. I also think they're incredibly short-staffed up there, and that anytime they can defer to a delegation to a community, they will. I don't think they're going to change the rules to allow all municipalities to review 67-acre sites. I mean, this has been an airport since, I don't know, World War II out there. So, I mean, this impervious, much of it has existed a long time.
okay. Everybody's good? Okay, so we'll open it up, seek a motion to open up public comment then.
So moved?
Second.
All those in favor? Go ahead. Anybody wish to speak? You have 5 minutes. Tell us where you live.
Excuse me, Stephen Beal, various residential addresses, 93A Shepley Street is one. In view of the discussion by Mr. Hediger, by the applicant, and by Mr. Bera, that this project appears to have a scope of 2 years under the lease, if there is in fact a lease or is about to be one, it would seem that your approval, if you are to grant it, should be limited to a 2-year period as well from the effective date of that lease, because otherwise your approval would run for some much more extended period than the contemplated documentation covers. Thank you.
My name is Mark Blay. I actually am a contractor for UPS and also on the airport board, both of which had problems, and we tried to bring them both together to solve the problem. Part of the problem with UPS and their own property is that they've had a lot of engineers retiring, and that's finding replacements and getting that process going is why there's such a delay in their own parking lot. That's why they're looking for this, temporary 2-year parking lot so they can get back into their system and get things moving. With big corporations like that, it takes a lot of time to get things moving. But I know they've been in talks with engineers to get their own project going. So this is just a very temporary situation. Now, once this is approved and permitted, it still has to go through their whole corporate process to get funds approved, to get contractors lined up. That alone could take months, and that would be coming off the lease terms. That really will only give them 18 months of parking if we don't do it for the time that it opens, rather than the time that, you decide to do it. So there's lag time, big corporations, like I said, it takes time to allocate funds and get engineered and get everything ready. So just, hopefully it works out for both the airport and the UPS.
Seeing that nobody else wants to speak, I'll seek a motion to close public comment.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Thank you. 7-0.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, Mr. Barrow. Thank you, David.
Okay, so this is where we get to talk to each other and ask any more clarifying questions. Any deliberations?
I think staff also in the material suggested what Mr. Beal did, that there be a condition about the 2 years as one of the parts of the motion. Did everyone feel the same way on that?
Can you say that again?
Does everyone agree that because I don't see it as one of this in the suggested motion. I don't see the 2-year thing, the 2-year limit as part of the conditions, but Mr. Beal brought it up, and actually staff says it in the materials. On
It
page
is noted
7.
that. Yep.
So I was asking if the board, if whoever would make the motion, or if the board agreed that that should be one of the conditions of approval.
Yeah, do you want it to be when the lease is signed, or like, which would have to be after they're permitted to use it, correct?
I would suggest to Mr. Belay's point, UPS isn't moving as quick as everybody else might like to. So for the benefit of them, if it's tied to a 2-year period upon completion and trying to think how to word that necessarily.
Occupancy.
Start of
Built-in complaint upon complete construction in accordance with the planning board's approval or something like that, to that effect. Where inspection is made by staff and that the clock starts then.
Could it be, is there a way to phrase it as like the start of use?
We could do that, yeah. Start of use.
So you call it an occupancy permit when it's a building, right?
It would be if there was a structure out there.
Yeah.
Right, we'd be tying it to a certificate of occupancy. Technically, there should be an inspection of this when it's completed anyway to confirm that it's built to the right dimensions and that they have taken appropriate erosion control measures and whatnot out there. So an inspection would need to occur. I think I heard. What did you say? Placed in service. Placed in service.
Does that language work for you?
It's fine for me as long as everybody,
Okay.
I understand what it means. I think it's important for the applicant to understand what it means, and we have it, phrased appropriately, so it's in an approval letter, so everybody knows, and there's no questions later.
How would you know when it's placed in service but for the applicant telling you?
That's right.
So, placed into service by the city's code enforcement or
I mean,
planning staff? Or?
it's going to be really the applicant should be notifying the city upon when they want to put it into service out there, so we can do an inspection, agree upon it, and the clock starts.
Is there any more deliberation or questions? You working that out, Tim?
Yeah, I think I might have something usable.
Okay, I'm ready for a motion if somebody's ready to make one.
All right. I make a motion that the proposal meets requirements of section 60-1277 and 60-1336 and approve the site plan by Wentworth Partners and Associates on behalf of the United Parcel Service for construction of a temporary gravel overflow parking lot and associated site improvements at 45 Flightline Drive, parcel ID 131-007 as off-street parking, accessory to permitted use whether or not located on the same lot pursuant to section 60-578. The proposed project has met the standards pursuant to chapter 60, article 16, division 2, site plan review, and division 3, special exception with the following conditions. 1, no development activity until any bonding or inspection fees are determined by the Auburn Engineering Department. 2, blasting permit in advance of blasting from the City of Auburn, Planning, Permitting, and Code Department. 3, given the temporary use of this site as off-street parking, accessory to a permitted use pursuant to 60-578, the Planning Board acknowledges the relaxation of off-street parking and loading requirements of Chapter 60, Article 5, pursuant to 60-60717. 4, the use of this area by the airport for construction material laydown, material storage, area access, and contractor parking area accessory to airport operations is allowed pursuant to Section 60-578 of Code of Ordinances as an accessory use. Any stormwater associated improvements will be required to be maintained by the airport. Any permanent use, such as future buildings in airport in support of the airport master plan, a non-aeronautical commercial use, or permanent parking would need to be permitted through the prescribed process through the FAA and then through state and city regulation. 5, email dated 8/14/25 from Wentworth Partners and Associates regarding stormwater sheet flow be put into permanent record. 6, the special exception will begin its 2-year time frame beginning at the placed in service date as deemed by city staff.
Second.
Any discussion? I did want to make a comment on and I forgot to do this earlier, but the waiving some of the paving and off-street parking requirements, I think, is actually beneficial to both the environment and inherent with the temporary status of this. It makes it easier to make changes to the property in the future. Just one of those conditions that we wanted to make sure we were thorough on. So, no more discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? So, motion carries 6-1. And we were making note in the past of who voted which way, that
Yep.
kind of thing. Just
We'll look whenever there's
it was.
whoever opposes or abstains, we'll make sure that's noted.
Thank you. Okay, and so that was item 3A. Now we have item 3B. Public hearing for a site plan review and special exception for Honeybee Healing Hive Yoga at 170 Main Street. And again, staff, could you tell us a little bit more about this?
Sure. So Melissa with Honeybee Hive has submitted an application for a special exception use to operate a yoga studio at 170 Main Street. It's in the downtown traditional center, T51. This proposed use is categorized as a hall, private club, indoor amusement. Private club is defined as any building or rooms that serve a place for incorporated or unincorporated associates, civic, social, cultural, religious, literary, political, recreational, similar activities, and not open for the general public. Because it's a special exception, that's why it's before you folks. No departments have any comments with this, there's no concerns. And I made reference in the comments that we struggled a little bit as to whether or not to even bring this to the planning board. We kind of erred on the conservative side, though. While we think it fits the definition of a hall and private club, personal service would have made things a lot easier, but the definition of personal service doesn't necessarily provide the details that staff was comfortable with to possibly consider it as a personal service. And a lot of times definitions will have examples. So it could say personal service, including fitness, recreational, instructional uses, or indoor amusement and recreation. That would have made this much more cleaner. We could have avoided having this before you folks, because quite frankly, she's taking over a space that was occupied by a chocolate store and is putting a yoga studio in there. There really isn't much to review on this at all. Parking isn't required, and even if parking was necessary, which clearly parking will be needed for our clients, there's a municipal lot right across the street from this with plenty of capacity. So with that, staff is recommending approval of this special exception without any conditions. I will note I emailed you folks a copy of her lease agreement. Given the format, it was difficult to read. I do have some copies. Melissa has some copies too if you folks need to see that for any reason. And she's here on behalf of her project.
Hello, everyone.
Go ahead.
Yeah, my name is Melissa St. Pierre. I'm the owner of Honeybee Healing Hive, and David really covered it. This space was already run as commercial. It was a chocolate shop, and I just hope to make it a yoga studio right across the street, so you all should come. And I'm happy to answer any questions you all have.
I have a quick question. Is this open to the public, or is it going to be membership-based? Because if it's membership-based, that'll actually kind of help the definition, too.
So most yoga studios do drop-in classes, and then also there'll be opportunities to buy things like 5 class passes, 10 class passes.
But not like a membership to like a standard gym like Planet Fitness or something like that?
Well, not really, because it will only be open when there are classes open. So unlike a Planet Fitness where people can go in any time, there would be, a class in the morning people could sign up for and a class in the evening. There are some studios that offer options like pay a monthly rate and you can come to any class, but it is still in those defined hours of when a class is available.
Great, thank you. Like I said, I was just asking because then that could be defined as a private club if it's members only. That's the reason for my question. Thank you.
Well, any member of the public could certainly sign up for a class, so.
I just love the location with that, designing that downtown district there with having the residential stuff above and the street level commercial businesses and stuff like that. I think that's really fits well, and it's in that same pattern with the rest of the street. So it's wonderful.
Thank you.
I certainly vote in favor of this. It's a welcome addition. I don't really have any concern about considering this a personal service, though. I mean, how is it any different than a barber shop? I mean, or a I'll leave it at that as a barber shop, which we've got plenty of on Main Street.
No doubt, Ed. I mean, we talked about it probably longer than we should have as to how to categorize this. And again, I think at the end of the day, we just thought, other than Melissa's time and your folks' time, we had nothing to lose by bringing it here versus potentially just allowing it to happen. I can't imagine anybody objecting to it if we had just allowed it to happen. But given that there was some gray area from our perspective, this is the route we landed on.
And I do note that in the form-based code section, if a use is not listed as prohibited, but it's deemed by you to be similar, then it would be a permissible use. So,
And
It's not prohibited.
And for better or for worse, a lot of I shouldn't say a lot. There are I'm learning that a number of the uses that are listed in the form-based code, they don't have definitions associated with them. Versus some of the traditional zoning districts do have definitions associated with them. So I think there's going to be that interpretation there at times where we're trying to fit this, something round in a square hole or something like that.
Sure, let's do public comment.
Make a motion to open public comment.
Seconded.
All those in favor? As no one in the public wants to speak on, oh, you do? Oh. We can make a motion to close public comment.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
I'm sorry, who seconded it? Was it Darren? Oh, Bella, sorry.
Okay, if there's no more discussion needed, we can jump straight to the motion.
I make a motion that the proposal meets the requirements of sections 60-1277 and 60-1336 and Honeybee Healing Hive Yoga for the for the property located at 170 Main Street, tax map ID 241-024, within the downtown traditional center, the T-5.1 zoning district. The proposed project has met the standards pursuant to Chapter 60, Article 16, Division 2, Site Plan Review, and Division 3, Special Exception.
Seconded.
Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Motion carries. Good luck with your new business.
Thank you all so much.
You bet.
Thanks.
Okay, and I will now open public comment for
Come on,
items
Steve.
that are not on the agenda. Okay, so seeing none, public comment is now closed. And staff, are you ready for your miscellaneous items?
Sure. Proposed revisions to Stetson Road Apartments. Do you guys have this, or would you like me to pull it up on the screen?
I have it.
So we met with them a couple weeks ago about some changes, and you'll remember that it was 160 units, 50 residential buildings, 20 duplexes, 30 quadplexes. Now they want to modify that, same number of units, except it's going to be 20 duplexes, 26 unit buildings instead. The impervious area, the street network, it's all going to be the same or potentially less impervious area out there. The buildings are going to be shorter. They're going to be 2 stories now. Yeah, I think they did a nice job in their application showing you, what was previously approved and what they're looking to do. I can tell you when they met with staff, we were all kind of like, beauty's in the eye of the beholder, I suppose, but we were like, wow, these look really great. And interestingly enough, they actually might be a modular design too. They're actually talking to a modular company to see if they can actually do this type of construction in that fashion. The ordinance does allow for staff to basically sign off on this as a de minimis change, but I mentioned that we were having a planning board meeting, and they said, and I asked, would you like me to bring it to them just to see if there's any thoughts or comments that the board has to share? So that's why I'm here before you. The same conditions of approval would apply. You will remember that the biggest condition of approval, additional and beyond staff's typical ones, was they needed to do a landscaping along Stetson Road there. There were some concerns from who's across the street? Schooner Estates, thank you. And they agreed to do some landscaping with that out there as well. They're gonna work with their landscape architect and give us a copy of that plan once it's finalized. So again, just looking, both staff and the applicant are looking to see if there's any just general thoughts, comments, feelings about what they're doing.
I think there's, just from a marketing perspective, they'll get a more diverse demographic with some of them are single bedroom and there's 1 and 2 bedroom units and there's a different square footage on a lot of them, isn't there? Just going by the floor plan, I didn't look at numbers or anything, but.
Yeah, I think they actually had the square footage.
Oh, they do have it, actually. Aren't some of them 1 bedroom?
Yeah, the first floor.
The first floor on the 6-unit ones?
870 square foot for,
Yeah,
Some of
150 square
the
feet
other
or
ones
so.
are 1,000 square feet.
Yep.
Which is a good size for an apartment.
Yeah, and I think the single bedroom on the first floor is important for different demographics. Yes? Absolutely, Steve.
You folks will know better than I because I wasn't necessarily here yet. I'm aware there was a situation with respect to setbacks, and I think it was like 30 feet or something like that. And
Yep.
to Steve's point about around the curve, and I am aware that there was a reduction in the units, but I'm not sure, to Steve's point, I don't remember if the reduction was from 160 to something less, or it was something more to 160.
It was less because they had to space the buildings out a little bit more. They were within 30 feet the first time, and then
So
it
it
came
was
back.
160 and it was
Then
reduced
it
to
came back.
something
I don't
else.
remember the exact number, but yes, it was reduced. I actually think it was. I
Well,
think
they-
it was higher than 160, and it went down to 160.
The plan shows, the original plan was 50 individual buildings consisting of 20 duplexes and 30 quads. Their modification still has 20 duplexes, but they've reduced down to 26 units. SIX, 20 each, 6-unit buildings. So there's 10 fewer buildings on site, and I think that's probably what's giving them the space.
I think the first one had a lot more than 160 units. Yeah, it was way higher. This is the second draft that we actually approved. I remembered it being a lot higher, but we had a bunch of things on the agenda that night too, with like 300 units going through.
I can certainly confirm.
That was January, right?
I took the applicant's word for it, not having looked, but I do know that there was a reduction in number of units. Whether it was a reduction to 160 or it was from 160 to something else, I can
Yeah,
let everybody know.
That rings a bell, what Paul said, and I remember that clearly now. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just looking it up. So it came to us in January, then it came back in February. Yeah, they started with 56 residential buildings. with 22 duplexes and 34 quadplexes. That's a lot.
What'd you say, 22 duplexes and what?
And 34 quadplexes. Yeah, so it was quite a bit higher. Then they reduced the number of buildings. So the February one is where we would have approved it with the other buildings.
So again, same number of buildings as Tim mentioned, it's just going from quads really to 6-unit buildings out there at this point and changing the appearance of the buildings as well.
Isn't the other point, the number of units, it's not increasing as a result of this proposed change?
Correct, it's the same number of dwelling units out there. Yep. Correct. So yeah, there's no motion necessarily, it was just to share with you folks, give you an update. In the event that they start something out there and it doesn't look like what you remember, it'll be slightly different.
No, I guess I agree with Paul. I think actually the character that's going to be in this new design is more coming to this area. I guess what is lost is really some garage space. So it seems like it's going to be all parking. And I guess I'm not sure if there's actually parking off-street that's actually provided, or is it going to be on-street?
It's all, so it's a private road out there, and the duplex buildings, they'll have parking, I mean, kind of, if you look at this page here, you'll see it appears to be a lot of on-street parking there, because it's right in front of the buildings. The 2-unit buildings will have kind of their own driveways instead, a more dedicated type of parking space.
Yeah. Bob, it's on the second page.
Yes. Yes, thank you.
Yep.
I can see now there's designated parking except for the outer loop.
Right.
Yeah, they made a lot of changes to this. It actually came back in March. They wanted to maintain the open space. So instead of spreading the buildings out, they were trying to cluster them together. And a lot of connectivity with the current roads that are getting all redone. North River Road and Stetson Road, and with the sidewalks that they're putting in, which helps the whole area a lot with getting down to North River Road and up to Center Street. Anyone else? Thank you for bringing this back to us, though. I think I like to, this is a huge development for Auburn. So knowing what's going on, I think, is important and what's in the market for us and the public.
The only other thing I wanted to, we don't have to make any decisions this evening, but I'd like you guys to think about, how do you want to receive planning board packets? Do you like it when me and other staff show up at your house on a Thursday or Friday? Or is there another way to do? Oh, that's not the answer I want to hear.
Well, for me, the most important part is getting this stuff and looking at this on a computer screen.
Or
Isn't-
trying to print it out on your home computer.
No, I realize that. I mean, I'm a paper guy too. When it comes to reviewing these, I like to see it in front of me. I was just, we were talking about if there's other ways to get this in your hands, and we can certainly still make deliveries. One thought was if we somehow found a spot here at City Hall, and I don't even know if this works, like the police department is open, and like you could go there theoretically at any hour and retrieve something, assuming somebody is down there.
I'm sure they want that.
I'm sure they do too, you know, because they have better things to do, right?
Why don't we have the police deliver them? Then they might come to West Auburn every now and then,
Oh, I'm that
at least once a month.
they may prefer to have that downstairs instead, you know?
Yeah. You catch my dog off leash and all that.
That's fine. I wanted to entertain. I asked Eric. Eric mentioned that, I don't know how recently ago, but some time ago, there was discussion about potentially getting planning board members tablets so they could look at plans and whatnot, which is maybe helpful, but to your point, Tim, it's still, or Paul too, there's something to be said for having something in front of you. So that's fine. I won't beat a dead horse if that's.
Well, I totally get it. I mean, most of this is fine to read on a screen.
Yeah, that's
Single
what I was
page
about to
stuff
say.
is probably fine, but
It's
This
the
stuff.
blueprints that are so much more helpful on
And-
paper.
Yeah.
these are small too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's
No, that's fine. And my intent too is if we're doing like ordinances and it's only a few pages or something, when I say a few, it's probably like 10 or less. My inclination is not necessarily to be printing out stuff and delivering it to you at that point, unless somebody specifically wants it. You know, when it's a big packet, yeah, we'll still make it because, you know, I don't expect planning board members to go through a cartridge of ink just for a Tuesday night meeting. So,
No, I certainly appreciate the packet, but certainly don't mind coming to City Hall, whether it be through police or wherever. So I do truly appreciate the paper copy.
so
Yeah.
Bob's offering to deliver them is what I heard.
so it sounds like we just need to go to your house, and then from there, it's, you know, okay. No, that's good.
I don't want to make this too haphazard for you either, but I don't work, so I'm happy to come in and pick up. I've got time. I can come get my own, if you just want to make a
I
note
can
of
come get my
that.
own too.
I'd like to know when.
Yeah, so that factors into us as well too, because I think my impression is we've gotten things out on like Thursdays and Fridays, and if we get it out on a Friday, that only leaves you a few hours potentially to come to City Hall before the place locks at 4, and then it's Monday, and I know some of you want to take more time than others to go through the packets, so I'm not, you know, our thought is always like, at least you got the weekend and a day to look at it. So that's good to know that some of you are willing to come here, knowing that the building's only open 8:30 to 4. At
Yeah, it is challenging for
if you
me with
Oh.
school. I have a fixed schedule, so
right,
get-
or I'm
getting
thinking
here for
well,
4
you're
is
in
next
Augusta
to
or something
impossible.
like that, right? You know, so all right. I wasn't looking for a decision to be made tonight. I just wanted to get a sense from you folks as to clearly it's not unanimous. So there goes that idea.
Well, if it can be some of us, is that better? Like
It doesn't hurt.
some
It doesn't
people
hurt.
volunteered to come get it. And
I'll think about it and I'll come back to you guys.
It seems that this shouldn't just be a planning department issue. There ought to be a entry-level employee who has a job that would accommodate this sort of thing. It doesn't have to be the city planner delivering these.
Probably not, but that's okay, you know.
on that note,
I have nothing else for you folks.
okay. And you still have a job opening, I assume?
I do, if any of you are interested in becoming a plan coordinator, provide your application to HR, that would be appreciated.
Okay.
I move to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor? You got something to say?
With the comprehensive planning process going on, and where we have two planning board members that go to those committees, I guess I'd like, some feedback as to how the two of you have kind of felt the process is going. Have there been some things that have surprised you, or some of the things that are particularly interesting that the public, from your perspective?
I can go a little bit on that, and I know I've been at a lot of the public events and you could probably comment on that too. There was a lot of participation at some it was kind of a preaching to the choir, kind of, talking to the same people, that either staff or committee members or something like that. It's really the meetings henceforth, because we have all the information that, we're getting more all the time, but we have a lot of information now, and now it's time to get down into the nuts and bolts of making some decisions as to policy and for the future. That's my read on it.
Our next meetings, the next couple meetings is coming up with the vision statement, and that's gonna, I think it's next 2 meetings we're doing that, but it is gonna be based on all the information that the consultant was able to get through their online surveys and the meetings in a box and the other methods the public input we got at the open houses and things like that. So, yeah, like Paul said, a lot of the actual work is going to be starting up, because a lot of this stuff was being done online and by Barry Dunn and not us. So I think there's going to be longer meetings going forward.
And I won't be able to go to the next meeting because I have a school event that I can't go to, but they are open to the public. They're also on YouTube, like these meetings are. And they certainly would like as much input as possible from because there's a public comment section and stuff. I don't know if somebody can go in my stead because I'm a planning board rep, but.
No, you're appointed necessarily.
Right.
I'm glad you brought it up, Bob. I probably should have said something as well, just as far as, updating the process. But both you folks have nailed it. We're at the visioning section at this point, and that was all inventory prior to that. So, it's just a lot of data gathering, right? Which is very time consuming, but it's the vision and then the land use planning that goes with it that I think will be a more difficult conversation for the committee and the public, right? Because that's talking about where do you want to see growth? Is growth appropriate? Where should this occur? What does it look like? That type of thing. I think we've done a really good job of trying to get people engaged, involved in the process. To Paul's point, that sometimes it is the usual suspects that are showing up at these meetings, because there's only so many people that are truly interested in zoning and land use. But we're also learning a lot of people don't know what it's about. Some of the comments that we've heard from the groups is that it's, an older demographic of a certain income seems to be participating. And Lauren Cafe, our long-range planner, she's made a real effort to try to get out to other groups to at least inform them of the comprehensive plan, let alone provide comments about what is a comprehensive plan. She went to the backpack pickup the other day. She spent a day down at the new resource center that the city has down at on Mill Street. So we're really trying to tap into not the usual suspects to at least get some of their thoughts and comments. There is a meeting on the 26th, as Paul mentioned. I won't be able to make it that evening as well. And then there's another one in September. Both of those are the vision statement meetings, so people should absolutely participate. The committee themselves, meaning probably most likely John Cleveland and Lauren, unless I have to contribute, they will be providing an update to you folks at an October meeting and the city council at an October meeting as well, just to say, hey, this is what we've been doing for the last 5 or 6 months. This is where we're at, whatnot. So there'll be a more detailed report, Bob, from Ally at Barry Dunn as well as staff at that point.
Thank you for that. And, for the public, I think getting into this visioning is really important, because that is the basis for what will come for ordinance and so forth. So, if the public hasn't been engaged at this point, just tuning into these next 2 sessions, I would think would be very important.
And again, I think I've said this before, but it's good for you folks. You obviously be given updates by the consultant, by myself, others. But at some point, you folks are going to be asked to make a recommendation on this whole plan too. So it's good to be at least aware of it, so it doesn't come on your plate at the 11th hour and you're like, this is totally foreign to me and I don't agree with anything. I didn't provide any input. Be involved as much as you want to be, but you will be asked to take some type of action at some point. Thank you.
Yeah, we're actually adjourned because we voted on it, and let's go.
Thank you, everyone.
Just can't do it. Thought we were getting out of here before 7. Meeting minutes. That June 18th meeting. That was a nightmare, yeah. And it was all split screen stuff, so you couldn't see anybody. And then the mic was off during a lot of it.